I think a major key component to fighting Merab is going to be to make sure that I'm the one leading the dance. I'm making sure that I can like mentally keep up with the pace that that's going to be, and then also mentally keep up when I do get tired, because everyone gets tired in fights. So yeah, just making sure that like my brain is good and that my brain can handle Merab for 25 minutes, I think is kind of the key, because technically and like scary wise, he's a super phenomenal wrestler. Like you can't take that away from him. And obviously now is a submission threat too, but like outside of that, he's not the most dangerous guy in the world. So just making sure that I'm ready for the takedowns and the submissions and staying focused and making sure that I'm leading the dance and not Merab.
He is, of course, one of the top bantamweight fighters in the world, and hopefully about to get his long awaited title shot. Always my pleasure to catch up with Cory Sandhagen. Cory, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Damon, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you for taking time for me as always. Obviously, lots to talk about. I wanted to wait until after UFC 316 to talk to you. So I don't know, where are we at now? Like, are we feeling pretty good? Feeling pretty confident the title shot's coming?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. I mean, they did a lot of stuff. So, as I was out there, just kind of the whole broadcasting thing and then them asking about me and all of that stuff. So I think I'm pretty lined up for it. The fight's kind of already being sold and all of that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think I've kind of done enough. I knew that in my last fight, I had to go out and look real impressive and finish the guy. And that's what I did. And so, yeah.
And obviously, like, you were out there, of course, but also I know Merab acknowledged it backstage. I talked to Merab's coach. He was like, yeah, we're down. We think that's going to be the fight. So at this point, it's just a matter of the UFC, like being like, here's a date and a time. I hope that's kind of like all we have to figure out at this point.
Yeah, I think so. I know Merab was saying sometime in November or December. So, I mean, that works for me too. So yeah, I mean, these things kind of take a little bit of time or whatever, but yeah, I'm pretty confident. I feel good about it, and I'm super excited to finally get my title shot. So that's cool.
Absolutely. I know we talked beforehand, before your last fight, we kind of had the idea that, assuming everything went well, like it didn't really matter. But I said to you, and I think you kind of agreed, like a Merab win would kind of solidify it, just because if Sean wins, there's a potential maybe they run it back for a trilogy. I know you weren't rooting for it, but when Merab won, were you kind of like, yeah, this seems like it's going to be an easier path to get in there, just because it kind of eliminates any possibility of like them trying to do a trilogy or something like that?
Yeah, yeah. There's kind of a lot of stuff that I'll drive myself crazy if I think too much about it. So I kind of just like MMA is so all over the place sometimes, and then people get hurt, and certain guys win, and then sometimes just guys pick up a ton of steam out of nowhere, and yeah. So I mean, unfortunately, I can't think like past 2 months ahead of time in my career, but yeah, I mean, I'm glad that Merab won, because I do think that he was maybe a little bit more inclined to take. I thought that if Merab won, I was definitely going to be next. And with O'Malley, I didn't really know, even though I know that that's a big one for the fans in the future, hopefully. But yeah, right now, I'm glad that Merab won.
Yeah. So now you were there. I want to get your thoughts because, going in, like Sean talked a lot about, I made all these changes. I stopped smoking weed. I stopped doing this, stopped doing that. There was no colorful hair, all the idea being he focused solely on the fight, to cut out streaming. Like he was just focused on the fight. And you could argue things kind of went worse for him because, I thought he lost the first couple of rounds and he gets, finished in the third. Now, certainly, that also goes credit to Merab Dvalishvili for doing a great job. But what did you make of the performance? Because I think like going in, there was so much being made about like, I'm healthy now. My hip's good. I put all my focus in. And then you could argue the ending went worse for him than the last time out.
Yeah, I kind of feel for Sean. Like Sean's kind of one of those guys that kind of thinks about life in terms of like a journey and all of that stuff. And I can relate to that big time. So I know the feeling of changing a lot of stuff about your life in hopes that it will translate over into fighting, and then also in hopes that you'll get like a good result from it. But yeah, it sucks that life doesn't kind of always work like that. So I kind of feel for him a little bit, but yeah, the fight itself, Sean looked kind of a little bit off, even more off than the last time. I don't really know what that's about. And I mean, Merab looked super on. I think Merab's building some really good momentum. I think that he's getting more confident in each fight, and yeah, I'm really excited to face that challenge. I think that I'm the guy to beat him, and yeah, I just can't wait to actually, be a fucking world champion finally.
Yeah, I know. Like, I know we've talked about the O'Malley fight for so long, right? Like, we've talked about you fighting O'Malley forever. When you go through this, like, there's some matchups that are just bad matchups, and maybe that's just what it was. Like, when it kind of started going downhill, it just kind of went way downhill for Sean in that fight. But in your opinion, like, do you think you'll see? I guess my question is, do you think you'll see Sean again? Like, in terms of, like, if you become champion, do you think Sean's got in him to build back? Because at this point, like, 2 losses in a row, and the second one he got submitted. Like, I know how this sport works. He's a star, so maybe he doesn't have the longest road back that another fighter would have, but he's going to have to win a couple here. There's no way he's just going to get thrown right back into a title fight. So, like, in your head, do you feel like Sean has it in him to rebuild and get back to that plateau again?
Yeah, I think he does. I mean, O'Malley kind of gets labeled as a star first before he gets labeled as a good fighter. But I think O'Malley's really good fighter. He's a super athletic guy also. So when you are that athletic, you are capable of making a lot of changes in your game and stuff. If you don't pick things up very quickly, it can be hard to change. But Sean definitely has that ability, just him being a really good athlete and all of that. So I think he definitely can. I think that he just has to change a few things, not like in his personal life, but in his actual like technical fighting style of stuff, and then just be able to grapple with these guys that are really good grapplers. Like he got away for a long time just being able to one shot knock people out, and now he's facing some for real, well-rounded, really good fighters, and you just can't be a one-trick pony anymore.
Yeah. And it's funny because, the narrative built into the fight was Sean's a star, Merab is just, a tough guy. But it seems like there is getting some real momentum behind Merab, like respect for Merab. Like now he jumped up, I think, number 2 pound for pound. And rightfully so. We see him getting out there. He's got more fans. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I think you and O'Malley would have been the bigger fight just because of who you are and who O'Malley is, the styles. I mean, let's just be honest about it. But do you feel like now, like, this is still a pretty big fight? Like, Merab is starting to kind of get the respect he deserves. For a long time, he was like the guy kind of sliding under the radar, and now feels like he's actually getting the respect he deserves.
Yeah, I guess I don't. I mean, this is. I don't think about the sport in terms of like the fan viewership stuff. I'm focused on winning gold, and that's all that I have ever cared about, and that's all that I really care about. If it's a star that has the gold belt and I take it, then fine. If it's someone else, then fine. This thing has, I mean, that's kind of what makes me a little bit too, is that I kind of like keep my head down and work and do all of that stuff. It's probably not paid off in the highest way, maybe in me becoming a quote unquote star or whatever, but being famous and being rich was never my goal. My goal was to be the best fighter in the entire world at 135. And that's all that really matters to me. So I could honestly care less who has the belt. I just want to wear that thing and keep it for a long time and get to say that I did that with my life.
Absolutely. I know this is a tough question to ask you because I don't want you to give away secrets or anything, but I think you can probably speak in general terms without putting yourself in the equation necessarily. Like when you look at Merab, what he's done, like what do you feel like makes Merab such an impossibly hard guy, like such an impossibly hard puzzle to crack? Because immediately everyone points to cardio, and I think that's absolutely a weapon for him. I mean, I think, you look at the Umar fight, like Umar won the early rounds, and then Merab just took over. And we can point to, I know he said he had a broken hand or whatever. That's a fight. It happens in a fight. That's going to happen. Merab just pressed down in the gas pedal, and Umar just couldn't keep up in those later rounds. So that's absolutely a weapon. There's no doubt about that. But without giving away like your game plan or anything, like what do you feel like makes Merab such a difficult puzzle to solve?
Yeah, Merab is all right, so our bodies don't do that good when we get tired. Like stress, we just don't make as good of decisions, and we don't get to move as quick and have as good reactions when we are a little bit fatigued or a lot of bit fatigued. So, I mean, Merab pulls people into that, of course, but even in the earlier ways that he fights, it's very mentally stimulating. Really similar to, I feel like the way that I fight too, is it's there's always something going on that the other person has to be reacting to. And I think that that's what Merab does really well on like the technical, not just him being a freak cardio guy, is that he is always like, he's a very focused and engaged fighter. And when you're fighting someone for 25 minutes and they're engaging the entire time and they're pulling you into deep waters and getting you tired, that's a pain in the ass, like that's what I do to a lot of people too. So I've been already kind of working that, I just got back this week from my honeymoon or whatever. But I think a major key component to fighting Merab is going to be to make sure that I'm the one leading the dance. I'm making sure that I can like mentally keep up with the pace that that's going to be, and then also mentally keep up when I do get tired, because everyone gets tired in fights. So yeah, just making sure that like my brain is good and that my brain can handle Merab for 25 minutes, I think is kind of the key, because technically and like scary wise, he's a super phenomenal wrestler. Like you can't take that away from him. And obviously now is a submission threat too, but like outside of that, he's not the most dangerous guy in the world. So just making sure that I'm ready for the takedowns and the submissions and staying focused and making sure that I'm leading the dance and not Merab.
I'm going to get criticized for using this word, this comparison. People are like, what are you talking about? These two things are totally separate, but you use the word scary in there. And I think that's kind of leads to my point here. When Anderson Silva was the best in the world and champion, there's a lot of people, a lot of opponents would say people fight him afraid. Like they go in because it's Anderson Silva. You got to deal with this nasty striker, devastating guy. And they're like, you fight him almost like you go in expecting to lose. I know nobody really goes in with that mindset, but it's just like you're standing across from one of the most dangerous fighters in the history of the sport. Now, me comparing Anderson to Merab sounds crazy, but I think there is an element of like, I think Sean showed a little bit of that fear because like he got taken down and it's like, I got to stop the takedown. I got to stop the takedown. And he did stop some takedowns, but he still got taken down. It's almost like he forgot to let his offense go because he was so focused on just trying to shut down Merab's offense. Do you think there's I think Umar did a good job and Umar kind of ran out of steam, but I feel like there is an element that like Peter Yan just had to defend the takedown so much. He didn't ever do anything. Like he couldn't really do anything. So I maybe afraid's the wrong word, but like, do you feel like people approach Merab with that a little bit of fear? Like, oh, I gotta deal with the cardio. I gotta deal with the wrestling. And it's almost like they take themselves out of their game.
Yeah, I don't think Umar got taken too far out of his game. I do think that Sean did. I think that when you fight a guy like Merab, fighting tired just isn't very fun. Like you could do it, but it's just like not ideal, especially for a very athletic guy like O'Malley. So I think that Umar did a good job of being like, I'm about to defend these shots. Like we could wrestle, bitch. You know what I mean? Like there's that attitude going into fighting a wrestler. And then there's like oh man, I want to keep out of the wrestling exchanges and stuff like that. Like I kind of made that mistake a little bit against Umar too, where it's like, I like ran from the wrestling exchanges a little bit too much. And it kind of made it so that amongst other things, I couldn't really like do what I usually do. So I learned from that fight big time that that's not the way to approach someone that's a really good grappler and is going to make you work for stuff. You kind of just have to be like, all right, bitch, this is what we're doing, and be okay with that and accept that. And that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, at some like it's like the idea of like going in like at some point he might get you down. What do you do when he gets you down? It's almost like I feel like when I watched the O'Malley fight, I don't want to knock the guy, but it felt like he was so focused on stopping the takedown that he didn't think about what happens when he does get taken down. If that makes sense, like you might get taken down. What do you do? Can you scramble to get back up? Can you throw up a triangle? Like what can you do to get back up again? It almost felt like he didn't have that plan B. And I feel like in a guy like Merab, you got to have a plan B and a plan C, because if he does get you down, then you got to worry about, do you have enough gas tank to go in round 4 and round 5? Because he's not going to slow down.
Yeah, it's it's just kind of that like wrestler mindset, man. Like my coach Carrington Banks has helped me a lot with this. Just get it's just the American, like, I know Merab's like a Georgian guy, but it's a little bit more stereotypical of an American approach to wrestling is I'm going to break this guy. That's like a wrestling approach in a lot of areas of the world. And there's a reason that that's a thing, is because in fighting and in combat sports, that's a for real thing where if I can get you more tired and outpace you, then I win. and yeah, I forgot what the second point that I was going to make was, but yeah, I think that that's just like an important thing to wrap your head around, go into the fight knowing that it's going to be that, and then just be okay with that. And I think that Umar did the best job with that that's ever fought Merab. But yeah, I mean, Umar's pace it just got rough for him, you know.
You obviously, we know you're such a dynamic striker and you're so well known for your knockouts, your highlight reel knockouts, things like that. But we saw in the Devison Figueiredo fight, like when you got to the ground, like what you were able to do to reverse him, and you talked about the finish and actually what he did wrong that led to the finish. So have you, I know this sounds like a funny question. Have you learned to embrace the grind of like the grappling and the wrestling? And I know you're not doing that. You've not been doing that necessarily just to prepare for Merab, but like, I know we talked about coming out of the Umar fight and you were very honest about the mistakes you made there. As have you learned to like embrace the grind of that? Because I imagine that's going to be a huge part of this training camp is like the wrestling and the grappling, just getting ready for a guy. Because if Merab comes out and just strikes with you, I would be shocked out of my mind. Maybe he'll do it, but I just don't see that happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I got really used to it in the Umar fight. Like, it's, I mean, maybe it's a bit of a technical answer, but when you're learning how to wrestle, a lot of wrestling is just figuring out which positions can I be a bully in and which ones do I need to figure out how to get out of so that then I can start being the bully again. A lot of the positions, though, when like you just straight up get stuck in spots where people can bully you and you have to climb out of that hole a lot. And that's like what breaking someone is you just keep dragging them into that hole, dragging them into that hole. And then eventually they're just like, fine, man, like I'm not going to try to get out of here anymore. I got really used to that in the Umar fight, especially working with the really good wrestlers that I kind of have available to me. So, I mean, I'm very used to that and kind of have been for a really long time. I also think too, just because I haven't had a million fights in the last like 4 years, like I think I had a couple 2 years ago, one last year, and so far just one this year. I think that I'm always kind of full of surprises. You know, I'm a really quick learner. I'm really dynamic. I train all of the time, and I can get my body to kind of do whatever I ask it to do. So I think I'm a different guy every fight, and I got to show a glimpse of that against Figgy for sure. But I think that there's still just so much more stuff that no one's ever seen me be able to do. And I think that I'll probably surprise a lot of people with the way that I'll fight Merab. And I'm excited for that.
I would say, and you probably agree, about 95 times out of 100, there's going to be the rare exceptions, of course, but about 95 times out of 100, when a champion fights a challenger, the champion's going to be the favorite, the challenger's going to be the underdog. We've just kind of accepted that role. There's exceptions to that rule, but obviously, like the run that Merab's on, like when I talked to his coach had great things to say about you, but of course, he's like, we're very confident we would beat Cory Sandhagen. He should be. That's exactly what he should say. Do you have like I imagine because you've been here before, you've not been an underdog many times, but I imagine like you embrace that role of being the underdog because that's just part of the sport, I guess, at some points. And going into a fight against a guy like Merab, like there's going to be a lot of attention on him. And as you said, you don't care about the star power kind of stuff, but like I'm sure you're ready to. I guess I hate to use the word shock the world. I don't think it's a shock if you beat Merab Dvalishvili. You're a very good fighter. Like if the number 20 guy did it, maybe, but you're like the number 2 or 3 guy in the world. So I don't think it's a shock. But you know what I mean. The run that Merab's on, like you'd be the underdog, right? Like, and I'm sure you understand that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm experienced enough now to know that narratives don't mean anything to me anymore. I've like gotten caught up in that before, and it's made me perform not to my highest abilities. So I'm not going to buy into any of the narrative that Merab's this cardio machine, that he's this unbeatable guy, that he's this like on a tear and can't be stopped. Like I'm not buying into any of that. I fully plan on going out and beating Merab and wearing gold on my waist, and that's all that I know in my heart. I'm also just been working with Trevor a lot more about this idea about believing in yourself a lot, you know, and speaking speaking things into existence, which always to me seemed like foo-foo stuff that I never really understood. But since I started working with Trevor, I was like, fine, man, I'll buy into this, you know, and it's really been paying off. So I'm going to go out and beat Merab, and I believe that 100%. I know that 100%. And I'm kind of a not arrogant guy. I'm more on the humble side, so that can be a little bit of like an uncomfortable way for me to try to see the world sometimes. But it's not going to surprise me at all to beat Merab, and it's just because I've been working on believing on myself too, and I think that that's going to be a big thing going into this one.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned timing. I know nothing's been offered or anything yet, but we're already kind of like, we know that August is done. September, they said there's no pay-per-view. So we basically have October, November, December. Do you have an idea? I imagine like if it's a title fight, you'll wait till December 31st if that's what you got to do. But like, is there an idea? Because I know November probably is going to be MSG in New York. I think that's pretty, standard for year. And then the year end generally is in Vegas. Do you have like a preferred time or does it really just not matter?
I hate fighting in New York, so anywhere but New York, man. The state tax in New York is crazy. And just the way that fighters get paid, we got to pay a state tax where we fight, a state tax where we live, and then federal taxes. So if I could like eliminate one of those in a state that has a giant state tax, I'd rather do that. So yeah, I mean, December in Vegas sounds really good.
Yeah, I love that timing and I love that matchup. And obviously, did I hear, and please correct me if I'm wrong, did I hear you actually delayed your honeymoon so you could go to UFC 316? Is that right?
Yeah, me and my wife, we booked our honeymoon like pretty much the week before the fight got announced, which is really stupid on my end because I probably should have just asked around a little bit and I maybe would have known that don't tell my wife that. But yeah, so I was like, hey, I have to be at this. And then she just made me change everything. And that's kind of how we did. We didn't get to eat at this restaurant that she really wanted to eat at, that you have to like book a really early reservation or whatever for. So we didn't get to do that. But I think outside that, it was all right.
Did you get? I mean, come on now. That's a real compromise. You might owe your wife one on that one. When you're like, honey, I gotta cancel our honeymoon because I got to go to this fight.
I know, dude. She's so sick of our lives just surrounding around my fights. I felt bad for her, but she gets it. It's only going to be another 4 or 5 years that we got to do this, and then she got whatever she wants.
Oh, that's hilarious. I know I paid you a compliment last time we spoke about the videos you're doing, by the way, and I think one of the videos I watched the most times, and people on our staff watched the most times, was the one you made with Kamaru Usman. Yeah. I died. I cracked up. The juicy booty thing had me in tears. Like that, yeah. You got a talent for making the videos, man. Like you got to have fun doing this.
Yeah, they are really fun. We're kind of used to making them now too. So like before, we were kind of throwing paint a little bit at the wall, and some of the ideas were a little quirky. But now, me and my video guy, we kind of got it down a little bit. I got some real good ideas too, for the Merab fight too. That'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, I've been having fun with that stuff. I don't know. I always just never really knew where I fit in as far as social media goes because it's super unimportant to me. But now I'm like, all right, well, if this is something that I kind of have to do, then I'm at least going to make it my own and not kind of like I don't know, just make gay jokes and shit that I think are kind of funny, So yeah.
It's funny because like you can see like some guys try to trash talk it. Like there's good, like when Chael started doing it, he was really good at it. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, but then you like sometimes you're like Colby talking, you're like, dude, don't do that. Like don't go down that road. Like just stop. So like I think what you're doing, like I know you're never gonna probably trash talk Merab, and I don't think Merab would trash talk you, but you can have fun with it. Like I think the videos he made about O'Malley were pretty hilarious. Like, when he was talking about, you need to stop smoking Sean, and he had like the fake O'Malley. That's not really trash talk. It's kind of having fun with it. Like, I feel like that's your version of like you and Merab can have some fun building that way. Cause I doubt you're going to say a bad word about Merab besides the fact that you plan on going out and beating him.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you're in the Denver area and you look like Merab, hit me up. I need a little clone.
The Usman one, man, that cracked me up. That was the trash talk one, man. That was hilarious. That was a very, very good video. Whoever came up with that idea, kudos. That was a good one. Yeah,
I come up with all the ideas.
I love it. Well, obviously, Cory, man, I think we all know what's happening. That's why I wanted to talk to you. I think this is, it's about damn time you get your title shot. And I know talking, for Merab and his coach and everyone seems on board with this. I think it's just a matter of getting a date and everything to nail down. So I imagine that's kind of how you're feeling, right? Like this time we're feeling pretty confident. Yeah,
feeling pretty good. Yeah, I feel good about it. I don't really know who else they would have. Unless they're going to give an immediate rematch to Umar. And then the other guy, of course, in the conversation is Jan, but Jan's last 2 wins were against guys that I finished and he won decisions. So, there's really that was like a big thing for me was finishing Figgy and making sure that I like put a stamp on that thing. And I think that I did that.